Happy to have you along, my fellow tech enthusiasts. My name is Sam Bushman. I work for NetworkProvidersInc.com, your partner in IT. Jay Harrison's with me. We keep an eye on tech so you don't have to. Welcome, Jay.
Sam, how are you?
You guys are having a global cooling event going on over there, aren't you?
Florida's beautiful. There's nothing better than a Florida winter. we got a couple of days with it where it froze, you know. We actually had a little snow flurry that I haven't seen in like 30 years in this part of Florida, North Florida. So that was like last weekend. But, I mean, it never even touched the ground. You could just see some flakes in the air. That's all it was. Because it was probably 40 degrees outside, but it was cold enough up in the sky that some snow was coming down.
Yeah, and a little south of you, those geckos are falling out of trees, and they're all paralyzed gecko stunned. What's that thing called?
Yep, the stunned iguanas. And they're gathering them up.
Okay.
You know, like I guess Fish and Wildlife is allowing people to bring them in. You can get a license or a permit or whatever if you want to keep them as a pet, but they're invasive. So, you know, I guess they got out as pets at one time, you know, back in the 40s or something. I don't know the whole story, but they are trying to
with the big
gather
snakes,
them up.
Right?
Yeah, with like the anacondas and the Everglades and stuff, right?
Yes, sir. They have literally hunts for those things. Two people go into the Everglades and hunt those things, and that's strange stuff, man.
That's true. They actually had a bear season the first time I think in 10 years for hunting. They had a bear season in Florida too.
Interesting indeed. And believe it or not, they're using a lot of high-tech instruments for some of those hunts too, right?
Oh, I'm sure they are. You know how those guys can get.
I just find that
they're a bunch of nerds out there with their night vision and scopes.
No,
and
totally.
Yeah.
I just think that's great. I'd love to, you know, they've got a TV show nowadays, just about everything you can think of, reality TV. You know, like I watch Gold Rush a lot, and it's these guys up in the Alaska and up in wherever, and they're, you know, working to get gold out of the ground. Then they go through all their experiences and struggles and hardship. And they got that on the Bering Sea stuff too. And then they've got I can't remember the most risky job in the world, which is these boats out in the
fishermen.
freezing everlasting, you know, and they got these fishing, you know, you got the biggest tuna or the whatever it is, tuna catch show where you get these huge tuna fish that are just massive. And anyway, you got reality TV, just about everything. I would like to see a reality TV show in the Everglades, man.
Yeah, they've had some what is Monster Hunters, and they've been in the Louisiana Bayou, and I think the Florida Everglades and stuff too. So they've touched in different areas like that.
And very strange stuff. Reality TV is interesting. You got the Swamp People, I think it's called, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that might be what I'm thinking of.
And anyway, I'm just saying. Then you got those shows Alone, where you have to just be alone all by yourself with nothing to protect yourself or defend yourself, and you've got to, you know, build a shelter and find a way to eat and catch game and stay alive and who can stay alone the longest. And I mean, there's all these kinds of shows which are
be your own cameraman, which I don't get. I mean, it's got to take away from your productivity a little bit, trying to do your own camera setup and everything.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's tough, and people get crazy. They lose their minds, and I mean, all kind of things happen. And I think some of the reality TV shows to do things that I may not ever be able to do in my life is pretty cool, because you get a little bit of inside reality of what it's like and everything else. But man, when people start losing their minds and stuff, I mean, these people are so starving, they catch a fish and they literally just melt down in complete meltdown because they caught a fish. Now, you can't blame them. They're hungry, right? I mean, it's a real thing. I don't mean to make fun of it in any way. I'm just saying that's a little bit overboard to me. You're so hungry, so worried about survival, so alone that you get crazy, and just catching a fish is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the Lord gave me a fish.
It's the little things that matter.
Amen. Anyway, I'm telling you, very, very, I like a lot of that because it lets us get kind of a bird's eye. What do they call it? A fly on the wall, Jay? We become a fly on the wall for this thing?
Yeah. Yeah, an observer.
Yeah, because, I mean, half the stuff would you ever do? I wouldn't.
I don't think so. No.
It's insane, man. You know? And
even if I did do that, I don't know that I would
do it on movie
camera. And do it in front of a giant audience of millions.
Yeah, right. I just remember this one girl that was on Alone. She caught this fish, and she just literally melted down in tears because she was so hungry and so grateful and so, you know, it kind of makes you think on a bigger picture what the Savior, you know, will be like, you know, Jesus Christ or whatever, when we're all, you know, when we can be saved and we're so grateful for the rescue that he's given us. And anyway, I digress, except I'm just saying it's really interesting how to us eating is just so, I don't want to say mundane, but we take it for granted and everything else. And then in her situation, it was like she's literally really hungry, and catching a fish was like almost a spiritual gratitude experience for her and stuff. Anyway, to see that side of people is interesting, but sometimes I think some of these go too far.
I can only imagine.
There you go. By the way, that Only Imagine 2 is coming out. Did you see that, Jay?
No, I didn't. I didn't know that. I know it's a song, but I didn't know it was
it's
a movie.
Song, it's a movie, and then there's a second movie now. Come on, Jay.
No,
When you got blind people catching you up on movies and stuff, what's happening around here?
I know. I live under a rock, I guess. No, actually, I'm just steeped in tech. That's why.
All right, he's just so techy that he can't watch something on high tech. All right.
Yeah, movies. That's old school.
Google's planning, Jay, to expand what they call their AirDrop sharing style support to more Android devices soon. So they've had them for a couple of Android devices. Now they're expanding it, and they say they'll connect to iPhones and everything else. This is a rare example of cooperation, Jay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is, can they AirDrop to an iPhone yet?
Yeah.
That's great. I don't know. I mean, I have a couple of Android devices for testing and things, but I don't know that I've ever tried to test an AirDrop. I just assumed, I guess, that it wouldn't work.
Yeah, well, the old ones probably don't. I mean, it's the new. I don't know if it's the new operating system. I think you have to have specific versions of phones now, but they're rolling it out to more Android phones. So I doubt the devices you have will do it, but it can be done, and it does work with the iPhone. And it's a rare, situation where we see such cooperation, and I think it's great. I wish they would have done the same thing with with SMS and with whatever messages they are.
Well, they have done that with RCS now. At least they're kind of collaborating.
Kind of. Not really, but kind of, yeah.
It
still sucks when you send a video or a image to somebody and it just destroys the quality. I mean, that still happens.
Yeah. Well, what you got to do is use Telegram. That's cross-platform.
Nobody wants Telegram. The Russians created Telegram. Nobody wants to use that.
No, come on.
The whole world uses, what's that other one? What's that the big one?
Slack? I don't know. Which one are you thinking of?
No.
The Teams?
It's called WhatsApp, yeah.
Or WhatsApp.
Our producer reminded me. Yeah, WhatsApp is probably the most popular.
That's Facebook now.
Biggest thing in the world. When you say it's Facebook, you mean it's owned by Facebook?
Right. Yep.
Because it's a different app, which means it's owned by what? What's the owner company of Facebook now?
Meta. Schmuckerberg.
Meta. So it's a Meta app.
Zuckerberg, I mean.
Zucker up. Anyway, all I'm telling you is that program is the most popular program in the world, though, Jay.
Is it for communication? WhatsApp? I probably believe that, but I bet you Telegram's in the top 5 or something. I mean, it's probably
it is,
up there
for sure.
It's my favorite. That's why.
The Russians and the Ukrainians and Jay uses Telegram.
No, come on.
No, I swear it's true. Go look it up. That's what.
No, it's true that the guy was the developer was in Russia. I don't think that he is anymore, but I don't know.
Doesn't matter. I'm
I have
just
to
telling
look
you,
it
it's
up.
primarily used by the Russians and the Ukrainians.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Come on, it's true. Look it up. Go ahead and check it out. You can do it on the break. You can check it out. Meanwhile, I'll tell you how it really is. So when you go to places like the UK and Scotland and Ireland and places like that, WhatsApp is dominant. So dominant that it's way different than it is here in America. Did you know that?
Yeah, but I think everything's like that. You go to China, it's WeChat. Or, if you go to
that's right. China's primarily
got
WeChat. The UK and Europe is primarily WhatsApp. And Russia and the Ukraine are primarily Telegram, and America is so divided that we don't know what we are.
We're iMessage.
We're iMessage. That's pretty much probably the case. And the sad part about iMessage is it's the least inoperable, the least
interoperable,
interoperable of any of them. I mean, WhatsApp, Telegram, all these other things, they don't degrade signals. They don't worry about borders. They don't do things different between devices and everything else. They just support everything. And it's surprising to me that America fell for this, Jay.
Well, I mean, it was Apple's thing. It's their walled garden to say we're going to take SMS and we're going to turn it into. They kind of promoted that or started that at least.
Yeah, but we should have went with WhatsApp or Telegram or something else where we didn't have all these compatibility fight problems.
I don't think you had a choice. I mean, you got to remember on the first iPhone, you couldn't install Flash. You couldn't do anything. It was completely an Apple ecosystem.
Yeah. Anyway, it's tragic to say the least. I'm just saying it's very strange. But all I can say is, believe it or not, people use WhatsApp for everything. I mean, even over in the UK and everything, as far as I understand, hotels and stuff like that use it. WhatsApp really runs people's daily lives. It's surprising. All right, hang tight. More in seconds. You're watching TechWatch TV. Apple seems to be in the news everywhere. Apple CEO Tim Cook signals new product categories driven by artificial intelligence, and their stocks dipping as they invest in more AI. Reports say that the new iPhone is expected this month. There are going to be a bunch of changes to that, dude. And the iPhone 17 and the iPad 12 are all coming out. So it's a big time for Apple. We'll see kind of how well that goes. I'm getting frustrated with Apple, though. Their stuff is just too expensive. Their AI assistant, or their assistant, whatever you want to call it, is just no good. Siri's just not good. I mean,
Wait, what version iPhone do you have, though?
Since it rolled out, I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does. It matters. If you have, like, I think it's a 16 or 17, the AI in Siri is completely different. It's like next gen.
Yeah, but they can give me upgraded Siri in my current phone, can't they?
No, Sam.
Why?
Because I'll tell you why. Because it relies on the onboard processor to do some of the LLM stuff, and so you got to have like the new A18, A17, whatever chips in there.
All right. Well, as far as I understand, half the people that I know who got Siri and had that enabled, they say it's just out of control and doesn't do good, and they're trying to figure out how they can turn it off.
Well, that may be true, but that's a different story.
Anyway, all I'm saying is I'm getting frustrated, though, with Apple. Nobody likes that. What's this new view thing called? The gloss or glass?
Oh, the liquid glass or whatever.
Okay, liquid glass. People hate that. And
now some people love it, though.
I know, but some people hate it. But it's forced upon you, Jay.
Well, sort of. I mean, it wasn't forced upon me. It was like it was offered, and you could turn it down. And maybe also because I have some accessibility settings, like I have less motion on and stuff like that on the phone, and so I think that's why it didn't automatically just convert to that. I don't know, but it just, like I said, it depends on your situation or whether it's like foisted upon you or not.
I'm just telling you, several people woke up and their phone was on the new deal, and how do you go backward? Anyway.
I don't like the fact that in the latest updates or later updates now, they've moved all the search bars to the bottom of the screen instead of the top. When you're used to, for so many years, looking for a search, even in a browser, which I know Safari, now their search is on the bottom, but I just think that kind of stuff is stupid if there's not a really good reason to do it.
Well, and there might be a really good reason, but unless they share that reason, it just
I don't know what it is. Do you?
No, I don't. And I just know this. Windows does that too, and I don't like how they move everything into different categories. It's like I can't even tell people where to go to do simple things. I'll give you a quick example. Windows 10 had the ability very easily to choose Alt-V for view and then type an O. And you would get into these options that would let you add and remove columns from whatever folder view you're in. So if I'm in a folder view of audio files, I could see the duration and the format and the details.
Right.
Like that. The size, the length. And then if I'm in a different folder, I could see whatever. The size and all the different things that might relate to a different folder full of documents or whatever. And now in Windows 11, they've made that almost impossible to get done. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just telling you it's not the same. It's not super easy. It's hard. Why would they just all of a sudden randomly bury that?
Well, I think that what happens is...
How does that improve the software?
You have, a different crop every, 5-10 years of UI, user interface guys that come along, and they just feel like they've got to make their mark on things, or they've got to make it better, or they got to at least make it different.
Just making life pure difficult for everybody.
I know, but that's the way it happens.
I know. And anyway, I don't like it. I wish we could change it. And that's what I'm saying. I'm starting to get sick of and frustrated with these systems that, one, want to just force everything on you, and two, then they don't want to cooperate with anybody else. So what system do you be on, Do I just decide
Sam,
I'm not going to communicate with anybody unless they're going to use WeChat?
You got to be out with the old, in with the new, Sam. Otherwise, you'll be an old curmudgeon.
I'm getting more like that every day. Sad to say. It's kind of a sad deal. What should I get? Sam Mobile? Just create my own deal?
Sam Mobile. Yeah, why not? You could start your own MVNO.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Anyway, all I'm saying is it just seems like it's so unnecessarily difficult, and tech is already more complicated every single day. Why just add fuel to the fire? It's like, I got 8 versions of Windows, and you can do this on this one and not that one, and then everybody writes tools to dumb it down. Hey, I want to make my 11 work like 10. Is there a utility for that? Yes, there is. And it's just like, people are frustrated. And doesn't that, all these companies want surveys and feedbacks, and, doesn't that tell you something when people write a tool to take 11 and make it like 10, and they write a big, nice, expensive tool? Doesn't that tell you the tale?
That's more valuable than a survey. Those surveys, I think those surveys half the time are a waste of time,
They are.
because people not only do they end up automating it, then they don't even look at it, and it just uses people's time. And I'm not happy about surveys. People are a little survey happy lately, I think.
And then what they do is they send me a survey too before they've helped me. So the survey comes out and it's like, tell us how awesome we are. And I'm like, I'm not even done.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or
Yeah,
you haven't even
Or
tried the fix.
Another example is that they basically do a horrible job. And then they send me a survey and they say, can you tell us how we've done?
And they say, if you don't give me a 5-star, I'm going to get fired. It's like, what am I supposed to do?
And the questions don't even relate to what I would want to give them feedback on.
Yeah.
So if they ask me 4 questions about the service rep, well, the service rep was a nice person. But because of whoever's above them or the structure of your company, whatever, my experience totally sucked.
But how did you feel about how they were dressed, Sam?
But I don't want to be attacking the person that was trying to do their best for me, even though I'm really frustrated. It's not really their fault. Anyway,
Yeah,
we can
that
complain
happens
about
a lot.
surveys all day. But folks, I'm telling you right now, if people just quit filling out surveys, they'd quit giving them to you.
I don't know about that. I think some of them are just so automated, they don't even care about them anymore.
Maybe. Tragic, but true. Customer service should be at the top, but it's not. All right, I guess there's a massive merger for SpaceX, Jay.
Yeah, it's interesting. So SpaceX set a record with a $1.25 trillion merger. Elon Musk SpaceX acquired its AI startup xAI in a $1.25 trillion deal, creating the largest merger in history as the combined company prepares for a blockbuster IPO later this year. You going to invest, Sam? Are you going to invest on the opening?
What? It actually probably wouldn't be a bad thing to invest in, because here's his idea. He's already got these satellites up in, low space orbit or whatever it's called, and he's basically got this whole internet network going on. And his idea is that if he can somehow launch centers for data stored there, he can put AI in the sky, not have to worry about heat problems and stuff like that to the degree, And anyway, I think they're a little far off from it, but I think that's where we're headed, Jay. And I think the combining of the two in that sense makes sense.
Yeah, they say the transaction values SpaceX at $1 trillion and xAI at $250 billion. Bringing them together, the rocket manufacturer and artificial intelligence capabilities under one roof. Musk said he announced that the merger will focus on building, like you said, orbital data centers powered by solar energy to meet AI computing demands that may soon exceed Earth's capability or available electricity and cooling capacity. So
and that's why I brought up the cooling, because I think that's one of the biggest problems. How do you keep all that stuff cool so that it doesn't just overheat? And especially on Earth, it's hot. If you get away from the Earth, things cool down instantly, and it's not a big problem. And so, I think there's some brilliance in it. I think like some of the tube train technology that Elon's built and the Earth boring tunnel technology, a lot of it's really cool, but a lot of it's expensive, and a lot of it's, I'm not saying it hasn't been used anywhere, but the day-to-day ubiquitous deployment isn't what we had hoped in many of the cases. So I don't know if he's on brilliance here or if he's on another, it sounded great but isn't going to happen anytime soon discussion. I don't know, Jay.
I don't know. I think it's great to prototype it and test it. I feel like personally you do better having your data centers in Greenland or Antarctica or somewhere on the poles where you don't have to worry about heat so much. Because you get almost the same amount of sunshine. I guess it's less during the winter, of course, but you have geothermal in places like that, like Iceland and Greenland and some of these other colder climates. But at least it'd be easier to access for repairs and maintenance and things like that, I would think.
For sure.
I think it's a great idea. I love the idea. I love that he's doing it.
Innovation is great, for sure.
Exactly.
The effort, hopefully other people come to the table too, Jeff Bezos and many others, and hopefully with competition and, I hope we can really find something sweet. I agree with you on the Greenland idea, but if you get away from the Earth too, don't you get the sun all the time too, Jay?
Yeah, you do. You get the sun all the time. Other than
that's
if
another way to say,
way.
hey, if we can make things low powered and we can use the sun all the time, that's another reason to take it away from Earth, right?
It depends on which side you're on, right? If you're orbiting Earth, you're going to be out of power half the time when you're on the other side, right? When you're on
but you're going to get power enough, hopefully, on the good side to cover the other side.
Yeah. Now, the company does have to face regulatory scrutiny over SpaceX billions in federal contracts with NASA and the Department of Defense. The deal comes as SpaceX, already the world's most valuable private company at $800 billion, eyes the potential IPO that could put its value above $1.5 trillion when they go public.
And I don't even know what those numbers mean. I mean, I know what you're telling me, but I don't even know what $1.5 trillion is, Jay. I don't know.
I've never had that much. I've been saving, but I haven't made it. There,
Jay's only in the billions right now, ladies and gentlemen. Not trillions yet. That's a little ways away, but he's a young man, so give him time, baby. Give him time. But that's what Elon Musk is doing, too. He's basically, no one's ever had that kind of much money or that big of a company ever, and that's interesting in and of itself, too, because when you get these companies that big and men that are singularly kind of responsible or whatever you want to call it, it's very scary to me that's too much tech
a lot of
power
responsibility
in the hands of the few, Jay.
Yeah, it is. It's a big responsibility. And I think I personally think Elon Musk handling it better than most people do. I'm not saying he's perfect or anything, but I've been impressed with, his candidness, his straightforwardness, and in a lot of the moves that he's made. I'm not saying everything's been great because everybody makes missteps, and he's certainly had his share. But I'm impressed with the guy.
Amen. I think he's impressive. I think he's very knowledgeable, very technical, very capable. He comes up with idea after idea after idea that are.
He's a hard worker, man. I've read his biographies and stuff, and he's, he'll sleep like 4 hours a day and just be working the entire rest of the time.
Well, and he comes up with so many unique ideas. I mean, I mentioned the Hyperloop, train technologies. Yep. And I mean, if you could get that done between some small cities, I shouldn't say small cities, big cities that aren't too distant from one another or in I don't want to say 100% straight line, but, you could really make some of that technology happen. And why that hasn't been pursued more, I don't know. Some of the boring technology is cool that they do, too, that I think could make some real differences. I think a lot of his technologies could really come to fruition, some of those tiny home things. And I mean, there's a lot of things that are on the cusp of really changing life as we know it in many ways, but yet they don't seem to really advance, right? Like I've heard about his tiny houses forever, but I can't get one.
Yeah, that's true. Not everything makes it, but you got to throw a lot of stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, that's for sure. And so I pray and hope that, hey, we can create these data centers. I really would like it to where we could do so without ruining the day-to-day market for consumers, though. Memory's through the roof. Devices are expensive. All I'm telling you, these data centers are really a lot of the core cause for that. I'd like a situation where we could say, hey, you know what, we can build these things and do so and not, put everybody else on the altar for it, kind of a thing, Jay.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, this is interesting. Kevin O'Leary in the news. Now, this guy's what, a Canadian businessman, well-known TV personality on Think Tank and everybody else. That's who that guy is, right?
That's right.
All right, when we come back, we'll tell you what he's doing. He's talking about education, baby, and I think he's right. Interesting twist. Tech is, of course, involved, or we wouldn't be bringing it up, right? Sam and Jay, we keep an eye on tech so you don't have to. Brought to you by networkprovidersinc.com, but check out our website for the show at npitechguys.com. You're watching TechWatch. All right, Techophites. I don't know what we call ourselves, but there you go. Thanks for being alongside our website for the show, npitechguys.com. Spread the word, share the love, and we keep an eye on tech so you don't have to. We're talking about this Kevin O'Leary deal. He's a Canadian businessman, well-known TV personality. He's been on Think Tank and everything else, and he's talking about education, Jay.
Yeah, he's talking about these Trump accounts, right? That and Michael Dell's involvement in this, and kind of what he's doing, kind of in as an addition to, or to kind of supplement this. And I think what he's doing is pretty good. We'll roll the tape here.
Beyond the call of duty, because he's providing it to every child that might have been born pre this period. And he's contributing over $6 billion. He's sort of leading the way corporately as an example, and I think it's fantastic what he's done. I really think that this is how a country heals itself. When it's broken, and when Social Security is being questioned, and the future of it being questioned, this is a pivot towards a different way of solving the problem, which makes so much sense. Most people understand the merit of this, even if they don't understand the inner workings of the market. You don't need to understand the inner workings. You just know that it's working for you. And that's 110 million people that don't have any plan for their future in America.
There's a lot of pieces to that puzzle, Jay. Number one, I do like private sector being involved in investing in the youth. They can do that through internships, apprenticeships. They can start seed funds in ways that can grow and take advantage of the markets and everything else. I think that's great in the private sector. These Trump accounts have not been approved by Congress, so they're not even real yet. They're talked about. And these Trump accounts, I'm not really for the president deciding he's going to create an account. The problem is you get private money captured by government controls this way if you're not very careful. So from a free market point of view, I don't like it. From a Michael Dell investing in the youth, I love it. Your thoughts?
And my thoughts are, so the Trump accounts, and I know they're not even slated to come out till middle of this year, like around summer, July 4th or something around there. And so for babies born in 25, 26, 27, maybe also 28, they're going to deposit $1,000 like seed money in that. And I think what Dell has said is he's going to go back 10 years for those kids that aren't going to have that or maybe older. And I think he's going to seed $500 into accounts like that. But I just think it's cool that guys in tech, we were talking about Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Michael Dell, which we know he's the head of the Dell Computer Company, huge, probably I would say the biggest computer company in the world. I just think it's cool that they're doing this and kind of getting people started in saying, hey, do some investment. I saw somebody do the math on one of those Trump accounts. And so if you put $1,000 in, you invested it at the market, rate and not figuring 9% interest or whatever if you did nothing else, if you didn't put any money into it, which you and your employer can put more money into it. But if you did nothing else in 60 years, that money is going to be about $300,000, which is huge. It's now adjusted for inflation. It's going to be about the buying power of $32,000, but it's still pretty good. And it's still getting people involved and getting them into investing and at least thinking about those things. And I think it's pretty clever. And I kudos not just to Trump, but also especially to Michael Dell in this instance.
So does that mean we are going to have these Trump accounts for sure? Or are they voted on? Or are they just a proposal or what at this stage?
I don't know. I don't know if it's executive order or whatever. I mean, everybody knows Sam knows more about politics and that side of it than I do.
All right.
But,
well, the reason I'm asking that, though, is because they say that the plans have not been fully finalized or implemented yet. Regulations are still being written and finalized by the IRS. Contributions can't be made until a future date is specified. Mid-2026, they're saying. Do these accounts need congressional approval? They say the underlying legislation that created the authority for these accounts, part of a tax bill, was passed by Congress. That means Congress already voted on the law that authorized them when the bill's been enacted. But it's very strange to me that they kind of authorized them and then Trump builds out the details. I don't really like these downstream departments kind of self-determining and or the president self-determining them and stuff like that. Everybody's got to work on the details, right? Rules, regulations, how they're opened, how they work, contributions are made, etc. And the reason I say that is because if they're written by federal agencies like the IRS or some of these other people, that's not Congress, Jay. And the problem with that is you can start an account today, 30 years when the kid's ready to use it, they can change all the rules.
Well, that can happen anytime.
What
with
they're doing
anything.
is capturing everybody's money in accounts to where eventually you won't have any control of your money unless it's in a government account. A 401k, you can get it when you're 59 and a half.
Yeah,
an IRA. Or
they could change the IRA
laws
laws today, and you could add one that you've been putting in for 40 years. So that I understand what you're saying, but I think that's fair game, open market on anything where they could change the rules mid-go.
So Congress passes the law that creates the program or authorizes the policy, and then federal agencies, Treasury, the IRS, the president, whoever issues regulations to implement that law so it can act in practice. See, I think that's where we're kind of crossing the line, Congress doesn't need to meet again for the accounts themselves, but I don't think it's right that Congress just lets these agencies kind of self-determine and make up their own rules as they go. That was never intended, at least constitutionally. So anyway, I applaud the private sector, effort to focus on the children and give them something as they grow up that's valuable. That's really cool. The concern about how it's being done, the underlying, concerns me. And when O'Leary says, hey, you don't even need to know how it works, just know that it's cool and that it works. I don't go there either. That's it. I mean, I'm not that stupid, sir. I'm just telling you right now to put another, how many accounts? Pretty soon you're going to have your HSA, that's your health spending account. You're going to have this account for your kid. You're going to have that kid for your Social Security, that, that account for this and that. And then, and pretty soon they're kind of roping in all of my money. Just leave me alone. Let me spend my own money however I want to.
Well, not only that, Sam, but you know that you and I are tech guys, so we're not going to be one of those guys that just sit back and say, "Well, I don't know how it works. I don't care." We're going to dig down. We want to know how it works. We want to see the nuts and bolts and the code behind it.
Amen. And I just want them to just let me be. Let me do my own thing, Jay. That's all. I want to do my own thing. All right, there's blobs. And I guess they're at the bottom of the ocean, Jay.
Well, there are gigantic hot blobs deep inside the Earth. Not necessarily at the bottom of the ocean, because it could be under continents too. But supposedly they've been steering the planet's magnetic field for 265 million years. Scientists have uncovered compelling evidence that two enormous ultra-hot structures buried about 3,000 kilometers below the Earth's surface have been actively shaping the planet's magnetic field over geological time. Known as large low shear velocity provinces, that's LLSVPs for those that need another acronym to keep up with.
Okay, whatever.
Each roughly continent-sized and hotter and denser than the surrounding mantle. These features sit at the base of the Earth's mantle beneath Africa and one beneath the Pacific Ocean. So they're one of each there, Sam. And by combining ancient magnetic records preserved in rocks with advanced geodynamic simulators, researchers are able to tell the contrast in the mantle core boundary and the influence of liquid iron in the outer core, and so they can tell when the magnetic fields have flipped.
Now that's wild stuff, and these are new discovery, these blobs, I guess, or whatever. And what I don't want, and this is the problem, is they talk about climate change. We start doing cloud seeding. We start manipulating weather all over the place. Utah and Nevada basically just became the biggest cloud seeding states. They're putting a bunch of money into it and everything else. And they on one hand tell you cloud seeding doesn't do much. In Texas, they basically said, oh, yeah, that flood, even though they cloud seeded a couple of days beforehand, they said, oh, it doesn't even matter much. Now with Nevada and Utah, they're saying, hey, the cloud seeding works. They've tested it. It's been working for years, and it's great, and it can add tons of water to the reservoirs in Utah if we just force the rain to happen over us, not over some other part of the country. And then we know about this now, strange blobs, and pretty soon we're going to want to mess with those and do things with those. And I fear we're creating our own demise right now, Jay. I mean, at some point, tampering with this stuff is dangerous without knowing the downstream effects.
I agree. I don't think people should tamper with it. I think the big takeaway, though, is in the past, everybody's kind of thought that the Earth had a single center molten nickel or iron core that was kind of driving things, and now they're seeing that it may actually be in two separate hot blobs that are doing this. So, and of course, all this is speculative.
And later they'll find out that two separate hot blobs are kind of the brains, and then it has this and that. I mean, they'll gain knowledge, and pretty soon you'll say the Earth isn't flat, Jay. And you might actually gain more knowledge, and then the old knowledge goes away, and then we find out we kind of knew, we thought we knew, but we didn't really know, and right?
Would you say the Earth isn't flat?
No, I would say it's not flat. I'm just making a point that, before they said, hey, it's flat. And
confusing.
Then they said, oh, no, it's not flat. And now they say there's one kind of center core to the Earth. Now they're like, there's two. All I'm telling you is we keep updating our knowledge, and that's good. I'm not downing that. I'm just saying we act like we know when we don't really know.
Well, it is
most
good,
of
but
the time.
It's not like you can drill down 3,000 kilometers into and figure it out or test it. So they've got to make these observations with all kind of other instruments and inferences to find this stuff out. So it's not, it takes a lot of time and research, and even at that point may still be just theory or working with the data that they have,
Yeah, they say it also reframes how scientists understand the deep interior and the dynamics related to that interior, right? And the role in everything from ancient climate to tectonic evolution, which if they don't know that stuff, don't tell me you got global warming handled and you know what's going to happen and humans are responsible. Don't give me that, because you don't know. We just proved it. All right, hang tight. More in seconds. This is not political, but we're saying technologically, I'm grateful we keep gaining knowledge and coming to more truth every day. You're watching TechWatch Radio and TV. All right, we always keep an eye on tech, as you know, npitechguys.com. But we also want tech to serve you, not own you. And this next story kind of comes in that vein. Look, they say Chromebooks are ruining education. It's all over the news. People are talking about it and everything else. Is it true? And I think there's a great degree of truth to it. We've got a video. We'll show this and then talk about it. It's pretty short, but it's interesting. Here it is.
I have been teaching for 25 years. I've watched education change, evolve, reinvent itself, and on more occasions than I'd like to admit, education has chased shiny nonsense. And from experiencing all of that, I'm going to say this as clearly as I possibly can. Chromebooks are killing education. And this is not coming from some technophobic teacher clutching a chalkboard. I teach K through 8 computer science. I believe in technology. I have taught kids to code, debug, use Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Classroom, to problem solve and create. I remember when computers were a privilege, not a pacifier. And I feel like that is really the difference right now. Chromebooks were supposed to be tools. Instead, they have become crutches and babysitters. Digital worksheets with better branding. We have handed kids screens before they could even hold a pencil properly. And then we act shocked that attention spans have evaporated. And frustration tolerance has hit 0. I have watched students who can swipe, tap, and close pop-ups with Olympic level speed, but can't write a paragraph to save their life, or follow multi-step directions, or sit with a problem without instantly asking, is there a video for this? Paper slows the brain down in a good way. Pencils create the friction that thinking needs. Books require patience, stamina, and imagination. Screens train kids to expect instant answers, dopamine hits, and endless stimulation. And then we wonder why school feels boring and hard. And don't even get me started on kindergartners with Chromebooks. 5-year-olds do not need personal laptops. They need scissors and crayons and blocks and conversations and play, a whole lot of it. Developmentally, screens are skipping steps. And those skipped steps are now showing up as behavior problems, anxiety, and academic gaps later. And here's the irony, because there is always irony. We killed the computer lab in the name of one-to-one devices. And in doing so, we killed actual computer skills. Kids do not know how to type properly. They don't understand file systems. They don't know how computers fundamentally work. They just know how to click next or scroll up. Let's bring back the computer lab. Make technology intentional again. Teach kids when to use tech, not just how. Chromebooks should be a tool used sometimes with purpose, not the default for everything. Education does not need more screens. It needs more thinking, more writing, more reading, more hands-on learning, and more human interaction. I have seen what school looked like before this experiment, and I'm watching the fallout now. This isn't nostalgia speaking here. This is 25 years of teaching experience. It is beyond time to course correct, especially before we raise a whole generation fluent in apps, but illiterate in focus. I have been teaching.
Amen to that, ladies and gentlemen. There you go, Jay. I agree with that. It was well spoken, well addressed. However, I want to take
100%.
one little tidbit out of it, though.
Yep.
I wouldn't just blame it on Chromebooks. And I know that's not exactly what he's doing, but kind of when it starts out like that. I think it's modern computing where we think at a teeny age everybody has to have their own device, where we think, hey, you can't even be educated without a machine or a screen, where, you know, we've got to step back and say, hey, does tech have a place? Absolutely. You got to use it. You got to know it. You got to learn to type. But what we're doing is we're skipping all those basic fundamentals of understanding file systems, understanding how to type, understanding how to think and use a pencil and learn to write in cursive. Nowadays, people just simply go, oh, I can't read that. It's in cursive. I just don't know.
I've seen that.
And we're getting to the point where we're dumbing ourselves down, and we need to hold on to it. We need to put tech in its proper place. That's why I say we want to let tech serve you, not own you. And I'm telling you, if all you know how to do is click and drag and swipe and tap, but yet you can't write a paragraph, tech is owning you now. It's not serving you. And so we keep an eye on tech, and we're not bringing this up to be alarmist or to attack Google or anybody else. It's not just the Chromebook. It's the way we're introducing children to technology. Instead of having them learn basic skills by hand first and then going to the next steps and teaching them how to type properly, and then going to the next steps, you know, we're skipping all that and saying, hey, a Chromebook's so easy, you don't need to really know or do anything. Just here it is. The problem is it's not helping education. It's dumbing down a whole generation if we're not careful, not because tech is used, but because tech is not rightfully used. Jay?
I agree 100% with the guy. And Chromebooks are just getting the fall because that's what's cheap and easy for people to put into classrooms. And, you know, Chrome is banking on this anyway, Google, to get early adoption. But I don't think that kids should have personal laptops like that, not even until maybe high school. So maybe ninth grade, I could see some of that happening. But in middle school and elementary school and Chromebook kids in kindergarten, I didn't even think that was a thing. I'm surprised. I'm shocked, frankly, that they would do that. It doesn't make any sense. Now I know that little kids. I mean, you see them in restaurants and stuff. Toddlers that have iPads and they're scrolling all around and watching whatever. They're certainly capable, but that's not like he said. Kids need scissors and crayons and pencils in their hand and learning stuff and learn these fundamentals. Like I said, yes, when they're in high school,
they need to go outside. They need to have interactions and relationships, and they need to learn, hey, what to do to keep your computer running. And they need to learn a lot of skills that we're just skipping, and that's really the problem.
Think in 9th grade, 10th grade, maybe when you're a sophomore, getting a laptop, you're training for college, you're training for the work, later on and stuff. I see that, but man, there's some real concerns there, and I'm glad that somebody's speaking out, and he's obviously speaking from a position of knowledge. He ran computer labs for the last 25 years.
For sure. And I would say this, I think we ought to take what he has to say. I think we need to bring back the computer labs. It would be a lot less expensive to do that, and it would put tech as kind of part of your education, not everything in education. The other thing I think we need to do is we need to have home computers, Jay. You need to have a computer in your kitchen or your living room or somewhere where kids aren't doing stuff they're not supposed to on the computer, for sure. You got the information superhighway that's a really dangerous place in many, many, many respects. And so you need to keep the computer where kind of parents can keep an eye on things, where they can regulate how much time is being spent on the computer, and most importantly, where they can help teach some of those basic computer skills that need to be learned. So I think he's right. We need to bring back the lab, but I also think we need to bring back kind of the home computer. Everybody doesn't need their own devices in their own rooms. Just use the home computer. Each of you can take turns. You've got math to do. You don't need the computer for that. You're writing a paper. Good. You use the computer now. And then later, you need to work on your history. You're done. Save your project, and you can work on it later. Joey needs to get on there and do his, whatever.
Go read your history book.
Yeah. And we can, and education, in my opinion, would be much further along if we'd think about it like that.
Now you're talking about a desktop in the home, though, Sam. Nobody has those old desktops. Come on.
Yeah, you do. You just get one of these little teeny, super modern, small, tiny, what do they call them things?
Oh, micro PCs or mini PCs?
Yeah. Just get one of them. You can mount it behind the monitor. You won't even know it's there, or else it's so tiny it can fit anywhere. And, it's just like this big, nice, cool monitor with a keyboard is all it really is.
Well,
the other thing's so small it doesn't matter. And you can have a killer computer in your living room now for hardly any money.
A lot of homes are getting desktops, and more, believe it or not, and it's the gaming that's driving it. With graphics cards and things like that, people are starting even to switch from consoles to desktop gaming, and that's where desktops are in the home right now, is in the gaming sector.
Amen. And I think it needs to be more in the kitchen for recipes and more in the place where kids work on their papers.
Agreed.
And do all those kind of things. So let's bring that back. His point's incredible, and we support it, and we bring it because we want to make sure tech serves you, does not own you. This is interesting. I talked a couple of weeks ago about how I went in a Waymo vehicle, Jay.
Right.
And now on a Senate hearing on the future of self-driving cars, Waymo's chief safety officer revealed that the company basically, I guess, hires and pays remote employees from the Philippines to help with those cars. Now, they say,
oh my gosh,
they don't drive the cars. They just
we all feared
them,
that.
Jay.
Yeah, they don't drive
the car. They just direct them, or they just
no. You know what they're doing is when the car goes, I don't know what to do here. Then it calls one of those guys, some remote worker in the Philippines, to make a decision.
Exactly. And they have to make a decision, and it has to be done quickly and everything else. The hearing was conducted by the U.S. Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation. And I guess the guy was responding to Senator Ed Markey, and he admitted that they say these operators provide guidance. They don't drive the car. Yeah. And my response is, okay, so
I bet that's true.
But here's what you've got, though. Teslas aren't meant to be driven alone. They say it can drive mostly, but you got to pay attention to be at the wheel all the time. This is no different. You just have a remote person in the Philippines doing what you do for your Tesla if you're wise. And Markey expressed concerns about cybersecurity vulnerabilities, not to mention job loss in America. You're giving all these Filipino drivers. I mean, it's one thing to have an Uber instead of a taxi. It's another thing to have this. And they say, don't worry, these operators are thoroughly trained. They got driver's licenses in their own countries, but not necessarily in America. And he also mentioned that Waymo and their use of international workers really relates to their plans for global expansion. They want to launch in Japan and everywhere else. Now, Waymo, just so you know, is a subsidiary of Alphabet Inc., So just so you know, Alphabet is
That's Google.
So you got basically now these cars, Waymo or whatever, Google, you think they drive themselves. It's really a lie. Someone in the Philippines is kind of driver assisting, just like you would your own Tesla. If you put it in auto drive mode, you're supposed to stay there and kind of watch it and grab the wheel or make a decision that it seems to be confused about. And second you take over, it's nothing different. It's just done remotely. Isn't that strange, Jay?
Yeah, but can a Filipino make decisions, whether it's driving remotely full on or just making guidance without an American driver's license? I mean, how does that happen?
They shouldn't be, but that is happening, right? And they shouldn't be, and it shouldn't happen. The other problem is, I don't mean to be offensive, and I'm not downing the Filipino people, but the rules aren't the same in the United States as they are in the Philippines in terms of driving and what you can do and what you can't do and everything. And they have to make split decisions on roads they've never seen. Most of driving, the benefit is, and if you drive where you've never been, that's different. But most driving is done where people kind of have an idea they've been there before, right?
Right.
And so none of that applies with the computer that doesn't know, and then a Filipino person that's never ever been there. So it's way different, Jay, and I'm concerned that they admitted that in the hearing.
I am too, but it's not unlikely that it happens. I mean, we've seen some of these robots, like Optimus, not necessarily that, but some of these other ones, and then find out later on that, somebody was controlling it with a remote in the background, and it really wasn't as autonomous as they were making it out to be.
Yeah, so then the next question is, can you just have your family member remote it instead of a Filipino if you want? Can you assign your own remote controller?
I'll just drive myself.
Oh, good idea. All right, thanks so much. We keep an eye on tech so you don't have to. Brought to you by NetworkProvidersInc.com and PITechGuys.com. Make it a great tech day, will you? Hey, thanks.